Hello, everyone. Welcome to Court with Krissy. Yes, I've shared some stupid criminals in the courtroom, but those fighting traffic tickets, their elevator doesn't always go to the top floor. Like Exhibit A, click it or ticket, who turned one traffic ticket into two. Today's defendant in court fighting a traffic ticket could have learned something from Click It or Ticket. Bring your camp stove with you. You won't have to worry about breakfast. I hope you like it. Court with Krissy is now in session.
I have the matter of, I believe it's Tramisha Lewis. Am I pronouncing that right, ma'am?
Yes, you are, sir.
Thank you. I'm Judge Salomon. Good morning to you. And I have Mr. Zick, your appearance for the record, please.
And good morning, Your Honor. Matthew Zick for the people. Also present via Zoom is the issuing officer, Andrew Borg.
Okay, this is a formal hearing. Have you and Ms. Lewis had a chance to talk?
We have, Your Honor, we've been unable to reach a resolution, and she has requested to proceed with her formal hearing.
Okay, it certainly has a right to. And so, Ms. Lewis, I'm going to ask the officer to testify first because the people have the burden of proof here, okay?
Okay.
And you will have the right to question the officer if you so desire. So with that in
Okay,
mind.
thank you.
Your Honor, one procedural matter before we start. This was issued as a double parking ticket initially. I've spoken with Ms. Lewis this morning. People are amending it back to the charge stated in the remarks of speeding 56 and a 45.
56 and speeding. And what is the penalty on the speeding?
11 to 15 over is 3 points, Your Honor.
How much is the potential fine she would be looking at this?
I'd have to look at the fine schedule.
Okay.
I want to say 135.
I know it's well over 100. So, all right. So, and Ms. Lewis, you understand what the prosecutor's proposing here?
To reinstate the ticket from double parking to regular. Yes.
Yes, to a speeding ticket. You understand? Okay. I appreciate that. With that, the people can call their first witnesses.
Thank you, Your Honor. At this time, people call Officer Andrew Borg, who's appearing via Zoom.
All right. Officer Borg, you can hear me?
Yes, Your Honor.
Thank you. Would you raise your right hand, please? Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth and nothing but the truth to help you God?
I do.
Thank you. Would you state your name?
Officer Andrew Borg.
Thank you. And Ms. Lewis, you can hear Officer Borg?
Yes, I can. Thank you.
Okay. Go ahead, Mr. Zick.
Thank you very much, Your Honor. Officer Borg, you're employed with the Taylor Police Department,
Yes.
and you were so employed and working in the morning hours of September 14th, 2024?
Yes.
I'm going to direct your attention to an event that occurred that day at about 9:05 a.m. At South Telegraph in E-Course in the city of Taylor, County of Wayne, state of Michigan. Can you please describe to the court what it was you observed at that date, time, and location?
I was stationary at that location monitoring traffic on southbound Telegraph for speeding violations.
All right. And were you in a fully marked patrol car or a patrol car?
Yes.
All right. And what did you observe at that date, time, and location?
I observed a black Ford Explorer traveling southbound on Telegraph that appeared to be faster than the posted speed limit of 45 miles per hour.
All right. And what did you use, if anything, to ascertain the speed of the defendant driving your vehicle?
Department issued LiDAR device.
All right. And you're certified to use that device?
Yes.
Okay. And what reading did you get with respect to the speed that Ms. Lewis's vehicle was traveling?
I had a clear view of the vehicle. I activated the LiDAR device and it returned a speed reading of 56 miles per hour when the vehicle was 1,093.1 feet away from me.
And again, that was in a 45 speed posted 45 zone?
Yes.
All right. Based on the reading that you received on your LiDAR detector, what did you do next?
I initiated a traffic stop on the vehicle and identified Miss Lewis as the driver.
All right. And the individual that you stopped, that's the same individual that appears on screen today for this hearing?
Yes.
All right, let the record so identify or reflect that the officer has identified Ms. Tramisha Lewis, who's present via Zoom today.
Okay.
Did you then issue a violation to Ms. Lewis, Officer Board?
Yes.
All right, and and you noted on the violation that you issued what the original reason for the stop was: speeding 56 and a 45 and the radar distance.
Yes.
All right. Anything additional you'd like to add, Officer Ward?
No.
People rest with this witness, Your Honor.
Okay. Ms. Lewis, do you have any questions for the officer?
Yes, I do, Judge.
Go ahead,
Initially,
please.
when officer, is it okay for me to ask him?
You can ask a question. You can't testify yet. You'll get your chance to testify, okay? All you can do is ask a question.
No, I'm saying, can I ask him a question? Because you said it was okay
by
for
all
me to
means.
ask.
Go ahead and ask
Okay,
the question.
officer, when you initially stated what you said you visually saw. You didn't say it was a radar reading. You said you visually saw and you were clearly outside of like visually able to see. But on the day in question, I can recall that the car was partially hitting on the side of Gardner White Furniture, like in their parking. It was not openly up front, because the reason that I could tell that it was not openly up front is that I was in the merge of like a lot of traffic. Do you recall seeing other SUVs? Because we had all just came from like a stop sign. I mean, a stoplight. We were all coming under, and it was a group of SUVs that was driving. Was it any other SUVs or larger vehicles similar to mine, or anything comparable driving in a cluster?
I don't recall that.
Because it was a cluster of vehicles that were going with me. You said you visually see me, but I actually had to slow, because when you came and pulled me over, prior to pulling me over, did you see me merge from the middle lane to the left lane? No, the right lane. At any point, was it a merger that you see me do? Or what lane did you see me in when you initially said that you saw me visibly standing out from traffic? Because when you were
Hold on just
talking,
a minute. Hold on. You got a couple questions in there. So let's go with the first one that I heard of. Did you ever see her merge lanes at all?
When I initially clocked her speed with my LiDAR, she was in the middle lane. And then as she approached me, she changed lanes.
okay, so at that time, you said that you didn't see other vehicles around me or any other SUVs, because when I was in the middle lane, it was an SUV in front of me and it was other vehicles on the side of me. So I had to slow
Hold
my
on, Ms.
speed.
Lewis. Hold on. Let him answer the question.
Okay, I'm sorry.
No,
So
you're fine. Go ahead, Mr. Officer Berg.
the position I was sitting at Gardner White is up at a higher elevation than the underpass of Ecourse Road. So she was underneath the overpass and I was up high, so that provides me a vantage point to see around other vehicles.
Well, officer, so you're saying, you said you had a vantage point to see around other vehicles, but at the same time, you said you didn't recall any other vehicles around me.
You
If
asked me,
you were at,
Go ahead, let him
I
answer.
was, okay,
Hold
go
on.
ahead.
Go ahead, Officer.
you asked me if I remembered specific vehicles that were around you. I don't remember the specific vehicles that were around you. I was only focused on your vehicle because you were traveling faster than the flow of traffic, and it appeared that it was faster than 45, which is what drew my attention, which is why I then activated my LiDAR device to accurately depict your speed.
Okay,
Can
my
you tell me what
concern
that
is,
device is? I'm just gonna ask real quick. Officer, you call it LiDAR. What's the initials you're using for that?
It's different than radar. as it uses a laser, so it's vehicle specific. So it has a red dot scope on it and utilizes a laser. So if you point the red dot at a specific vehicle, the laser measures the speed of only the vehicle you pointed at.
And I'm sorry, Mr. Lewis, I was asking you to just clarify what the term meant, so now you know what he's using. Go ahead, please.
I was also asking because he said he was at a vantage point, and you're saying that you were at a clear point, but you said you visually thought that I was going faster. You did identify that I was in the middle lane, which I say I was in the middle lane, but I was surrounded by traffic in front of me and to the side of me, which was the reason that I had to slowly merge over to the right lane. At no point can you identify that it was any other vehicles around me. Is that what you're saying? Because you said that I could see that.
Hold on,
it's
let him answer. Let him answer.
Okay, I'm sorry.
What was the question? I'm sorry, Brown.
I think what you were just asked was that at no point, what you're indicating is at no point you saw other vehicles around her. Is that true?
I don't remember the specific vehicles that were around her, but she was not the only car on the road. So there were other cars there.
And that's what I'm addressing. It was multiple cars. I would say I was in a cluster of maybe like 10 to like 18 cars that were surrounding me. And that's the reason that I'm saying that in spite of the fact that the officer is saying that he visibly saw me, he said he initiated because he was at a high point.
I'm gonna hold on.
So
you gotta ask. Hold on. The point here, though, is just ask him questions if you want to clarify something. You're certainly going to be.
That's what I was going to.
Okay, so ask him a question.
I don't
want you to lead too much. You're taking a long time to lead in, and sometimes.
Okay, I'm sorry.
You're good. Don't be sorry.
Officer, the other thing is you said that you were at a vantage point where you were visibly able to see me coming from under the overpass. But at the same time, you're saying it was cars, but you weren't visibly able to note any cars in front of me or behind me or at the side of me. You're acknowledging that it was some flow of traffic, but you can't tell the percent, like the surrounding traffic that I was immersed in. Is that what you're saying?
I have an objection.
Your Honor, I think the question is getting in more into, I believe the question has been asked and answered.
And I think it has been asked and answered, ma'am. I think the officer said he recalls some vehicles being there, doesn't have any specifics. So what is your next question?
My next question is, when you say that it was, okay, hold on one moment.
No problem.
Then I have another question for the officer. At which time when you pulled me over and you initially talked to me, was your video camera, like your body cam, on?
Yes.
So you did come initially to the car and you acknowledged the fact that I did ask you, officer, what was the reason for me being pulled over?
Yes.
And at which time you told me, basically, I don't need your insurance, I don't need your registration, I just want your driver's license, correct?
My actual word for word statement was, you were going 56 and it posted 45, so 11 over the speed limit. I just need your driver's license.
Okay, and then at the point that you came back and I was asking you questions, did you not verbally threaten to make it worse for me if I asked you additional questions?
So I'll read you the actual transcript from the body camera. I came back to your car and advised you that I wrote you the parking ticket. You said, how is it a parking ticket and I'm not parking? And I said, so I have what's called discretion. So you were speeding 11 over. If I write you for speeding 11 over, you get points on your license. And then I said, I'm trying to explain. And then you had a question. And then I said, if I were to write you speeding 11 over, not only is it a fine, but it adds 3 points to your driving record. So I lowered it to a parking ticket. So the fine is cheaper and it doesn't go on your driving record, which I have the ability to do because I can use discretion and give people breaks. If you don't want that break, I can switch it back to a speeding ticket. And you said, no, you're fine. And I said, okay, all the court information is on the bottom. They give you 15 days to take care of it.
Officer,
That
can you tell me,
transcript,
wait, hold on just a minute, hold on, officer, just so we're clear here. You were reading from a transcript from your body camera, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Go ahead, ma'am.
is that body cam actually available?
You'd have to contact the police department. I'm not sure how that works.
Because the transcript, it doesn't visibly say the part in which he told me, if you want to ask a question, I can make this worse for you. That's a part that's missing. And I have a witness here that
Well,
is here.
I'm
that
just
heard
going to ask you that, okay, and I agree, I agree, you certainly have the right to make that statement. Wait till you're under oath and you can tell me about that, okay?
Right. So that
Okay.
was, that's why I wanted to make sure
Your
that
Honor.
the body cam was.
Your Honor,
Okay.
I take offense to her lying about me saying something like that. If you want, I can play the body camera. I have it pulled up right here, and you can watch exactly what I said to her because I did not threaten her to make it worse.
Okay.
She didn't. She had a problem. She had a problem that I was writing her a parking ticket and she wasn't parked, and I explained to her how the process works. I did not threaten her or say that I would make it worse. I have the evidence right here.
All right, thank you. Ms. Lewis, do you have any other questions for him?
Sir, I can understand him saying he takes offense, but in me saying
Hold on, I don't
felt
want you to
threatened-
argue, Ms. Lewis, I don't want you to argue, because you're gonna have a right to
Okay,
argue.
thank you.
Right now, it's just, are
Okay.
you done asking questions of this officer?
So once again, officer, you said that it was a flow of traffic. You said you initially pulled me over because you visually, it wasn't a radar that clocked me going fast initially. It was you just visually noting that you felt that I was emerged ahead of traffic more than other people.
Your Honor, I'd object to the formal
Yeah,
question.
that's been asked and answered. Those things have been asked and answered already, ma'am. You
No,
have any other question on that?
I was trying to, sir, I was just trying to clarify his statements because I don't have any kind of way to document what he was said. So when I get cross-examined, I could say the things that I need to say. I'm just rephrasing what he's acknowledged. He
But I
said
think he's
that,
already answered it. He's already told you he saw cars, but can't specify what they are. I think that's answering
I'm
your question.
saying, officer, Your Honor, I was saying that he said that he saw cars, but the initial reason that he pulled me over was because he visually believed that he was at a
I
higher
agree. He said
point.
that. He testified that.
And he visually believed it wasn't initially a radar reading. It was just
We
him
agree.
visually.
He testified
Okay,
that.
thank you.
I agree.
Okay, thank you. I'm finished.
All right. Do people have any other questions?
Just briefly, Your Honor, on the follow-up about Officer Borg, I think you've touched on the difference between a LiDAR and a radar device. In this case, with the LiDAR device, can you just give a brief explanation of how that works? You indicated it was vehicle specific, that you shoot the red laser dot onto a particular vehicle so that you're not picking up other traffic. Is that correct?
Yeah, so based on training and experience, I can visually estimate if a car might be traveling faster than the speed limit. If a car looks like it's traveling faster than the speed limit, I will then utilize my LiDAR device to confirm the vehicle's speed. And the LiDAR device is better than the radar because LiDAR is vehicle specific because it utilizes a laser. So there's a red dot scope. So the car that I believe is traveling faster than the speed limit, I will point the red dot scope at that specific vehicle, activate it, and it will return a speed reading of that vehicle that I pointed it at and only that vehicle.
All right. And that's what you did in this case and got the reading of 56 and a 45.
Yes.
No further questions.
I just want to ask, does the LiDAR device have to be calibrated on a daily or weekly or monthly basis?
My LiDAR device is tested and calibrated before and after each one of my shifts.
It happened that day, the day in question?
Yes.
Okay. Ms. Lewis, do you have any questions with regard to the officer just testifying about his LiDAR?
Okay, if the LiDAR was recalibrated and it was a car that was right near me on the side of me or closely in proximity where like that car was moving ahead, would it still center on my car? So like if a car was riding right next to me and we were coming up right next to each other and you were putting the LiDAR on, right? This whatever you called it on, and then me and that car was riding right next to each other, pretty much me, that car, the car outside of me, we're all emerged. So it's a total of 3 cars or more, and we're all kind of in a group cluster. The radar can point to one car particularly, but if that car was being radared and then I started to slow back down to get over to the right lane, would it still, in the midst of me slowing down where the other car was passing me up, would it have the ability when that car passed me up still to keep me as the car?
Yes.
So it wouldn't track the car that passed around me on either side when I slowed down, because you acknowledged that I was in the middle lane. So if you started to activate when I was in the middle lane and I slowed down to get over, it would be other cars that were passing me by.
Your Honor, I believe we're assuming facts, not in evidence. He's
I do too.
testifying.
I think he's answered the question, Ms. Lewis. I do.
No,
He's told
Judge,
you.
I was trying to understand how.
Hold on, officer. I don't want to put words in your mouth. My understanding, she's asking very in a convoluted way. There's other cars around her. Does the LiDAR still just pick up her car as opposed to the other vehicles around her, even if they're moving and she's merging under those circumstances?
Yes, it does.
Okay. Any other questions, Ms. Lewis?
Oh, that's it.
All right, thank you. Any other?
Nothing further from the people. Your
Thank you. All right. Ms. Lewis, I'm going to ask you to raise your right hand because I'm assuming you want to testify, correct?
Yes.
And you're raising your right hand, you swear to tell the truth, nothing but the truth to help you God, correct? Is that a yes?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. What did you want to tell the court on the dating question? What happened?
On the date in question, I was driving and I was using the Google Maps app because I was going to take a young lady to the Brownstown auction that's like off of Telegraph. I'm not familiar with that. I think it was the Brownstown's auction, but it was an auto auction. That's why I was going that particular place on Telegraph. I had just came off a 94 freeway. I was using the maps for complete directions. And as if the court is not familiar with the app actually not only lets you know about the directions, it identifies your speed as well as the speed of the traffic. You know, your speed, your individual speed, and then it also monitors the speed that you're like, that the street traffic is supposed to be. So when the officer initially pulled me over, I was kind of in a state of confusion because I was going by the app. I could see visually on the app because I didn't know where the auction was at. And I'm following the flow of the app telling me, go on Telegraph, turn this way, turn that way. I had just stopped at a stop sign. No, not a stop sign. When you come off of 94, eventually you run into a traffic light that's a little bit before the underpass. I was merged in that traffic, deeply in the traffic with, I would say, about 15 or more cars as a result of us all merging off the freeway. And I was in the middle lane, so I was like completely encaved in the traffic. When I was driving, I actually was trying to get over and trying to slow to the point where I can get behind the traffic to get over because I was trying to find a restaurant because the young lady had said she wanted breakfast.
All right, Ms. Lewis, let me stop you for a minute. Let me stop you. Let me ask you a question. Are you saying you stopped at a red light before the officer pulled you over?
Yes, it before, like right before that, like right around, like right when you come off of 94 and you're starting to merge on Telegraph, it's a light there. It's a light coming around that southbound traffic. So at some point before he pulled me over and like after getting off of 94, it's a red light that I hit. So that's why
Okay,
I
let
was
me, and I just
trusting.
want to stop you for a second. I just want to stop you for a second. I just want to ask you,
I
officer,
was
is there, hold on,
completely,
Ms. Lewis,
I'm
stop for a minute. Stop.
okay.
Officer, is there a red light between 94 and the Gardner White place where you were located?
No, she's talking about the light at 94, which is over a half mile away from where I got her speed.
Ms. Lewis, yeah, I'm trying to find out, Ms. Lewis, when you came off 94, were you north of Van Born Road or south of Van Born Road?
I don't know where Van Horn Road
Okay.
is.
All
Like,
right.
I know where I came off on Telegraph, and after you get off of 94,
There we go. Now I understand. Thank you. Now I understand where the
after
light
you get
was. That's
off
what I
of
was trying to find out.
94, you merge onto Telegraph, and it was
Yes.
a light that
Okay.
I was stopped at between.
Yeah, thank you. Now I know where the light was at. I was trying to visualize it. I got it. Okay.
Okay, so I had came to a complete stop, and I was submerged in a lot of traffic. Just you can imagine the traffic coming off the freeway. It's a lot of traffic coming on to Telegraph at that point. So I was embedded into a large amount of traffic that was trying to merge into going to southbound Telegraph. When I was getting when I was in the traffic after we went in the light, after we passed the light, the young lady was making mention that she wanted to actually find breakfast, but we were kind of like lost because we had never been to that area before. With that being said, that's why I was so. I'm sorry, did you say something?
I did not.
Oh no, it was somebody I heard. I was in that traffic, so we went under the overpass, and as I was going under the overpass at that point, I was trying to find a way to merge over because I was so much immersed in the middle lane with so much traffic from where I came off the freeway. It's like the traffic that I came off with the freeway with, it merged into the normal traffic with Telegraph. So it was
Okay.
a large amount of traffic that I was traveling with, at which point, by the time I was getting to the overpass, I had actually turned on my signal and I was trying to get ready to merge over
Okay.
and I was
Thank-
slowing down.
Okay.
I would also like the court to know I have this problem with my flex pipe, which makes me always mindful of my speed limit because my car has an exhaust issue. At which time, if I go over, I'll say 46 to, I would say about 50 or more, just to say a number. If I go over 50, my flex pipe is kind of messed up and my exhaust pipe is kind of messed up, where it makes this problem where you hear the noise in the cabinet. It makes this loud radiant rocky noise like where you can't even hear in the cabinet. At which time you are very aware of your speed because you can't hear in my car because of the flex pipe being located at the end, like in the middle of my car cabinet, under my cabinet. At which time, when I was driving and I had merged over, there was no noise in my car. I was using the app. I continued to use the app to actually find the actual auto auction. I was attempting when I had got pulled over, when I was asking the officer why I was pulled over, I was completely in a state of confusion because it was so many cars that were submerged around me that when I tried to get to the left, I mean, to get to the right lane to find a restaurant, I slowed down and then I
Okay.
got pulled
I
over, but a
understand
flux.
that. I understand then you got pulled over. Anything else you want to tell me about that?
It was a flux of cars that passed me by that were going faster. I'm saying that it was a lot of cars surrounding me. It was cars on the right. It was
Ms. Lewis,
cars on
I
the left.
understand. Ms. Lewis, you have repeated yourself numerous times. I understand that. Just tell me
Okay,
then. And you got pulled over at some point and what happened?
And then when I got pulled over, I asked the officer why I was pulled over. And then he told me whatever he told me. He told me he didn't need my insurance. He didn't need my registration. He left. He came back. He told me, I'm giving you double parking. I asked him, how was I getting double parking when I was driving? He said he had the authority to give double parking. And I kind of questioned, like, I don't understand. And at which time the officer did make mention, like, do you want to say something else? This can get worse. I can change it back right now. And at that point, I just was like, I was honestly scared. And I told him, no, that'll be fine. And he gave me the ticket, and that was the end of it. I actually bought someone else here that was in the car that can say what was witnessed. That's why I was asking different questions.
Well, why don't we hear from why don't we hear from your witness then? Okay, is she there? She wants to talk? Hi, good morning. Would you tell me your name, please?
Hi, my name is Kirsten McDonald.
Could you spell your first name and your last name for the record?
Kirsten, Kirsten, McDonald, McDonald.
Thank you, Ms. McDonald. And I'm gonna on September 14, 2024, you would have been riding in the car with Miss Lewis?
Yes, sir.
And she was pulled over at that point in time. You remember that?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay. What is it you wanted to tell the court today?
Yes, when I was in the car, when he pulled us over, he was kind of like a little hostile in his kind of tone. He pulled us over. He didn't ask for my aunt for like any insurance and anything like that, which I thought was kind of weird. He just kind of asked for her license. And then said that she was.
We'll let her. I'm gonna let her give everything. Go ahead. There was an
And
objection,
then-
ma'am, and I'm overruling the objection. Go ahead.
And then he took her license, and when he came back, he had stated that she was going like a very high speed, which I didn't think she was going a very high speed because we were at a stoplight at that point because we had just came from near the freeway. So yeah, that's pretty much my.
Thank you.
And then
Well,
we were looking at Google Maps, and Google Maps does have a speed speedometer on there, where it kind of shows you like the speed limit in the area as well as your speed that you're going in the car. And it indicates anything over, I want to say like 55, 60, it highlights red. And that wasn't the case for us in the car. So I was kind of confused on his accusation that we were going really fast in the car.
Is Miss Lewis still there?
I
just came back in the room. I'm sorry. I had to let the camera in.
Miss Lewis, do you have any questions for this lady?
Kirsten, you said, do I have any questions for what? I'm sorry.
For Miss McDonald.
Kirsten, was it when we were traveling, were we the only car on the road, or when we exited? Okay, I'm sorry. I don't want to be confusing. When we came off the freeway on 94, was it other cars that came along off the freeway merging on Telegraph?
Yes.
Were we surrounded when we got on Telegraph and we stopped at that light before the underpass? Was it other cars surrounding us?
Yes.
Was it at a certain point you decided that you wanted to have something to eat for breakfast, correct?
Yes, we were on our way to the car auction. I'm in the process of looking for my first car. I was told by someone at my job
That's okay. That's okay. I understand. You want to pull over for breakfast.
Okay.
Anything else you want to ask?
At that point, when you decided that you wanted something to eat for breakfast, was it other cars surrounding us?
Yes.
So at what point at some point, was it necessary for me to merge to the right lane to find a breakfast place?
Yes.
At which point, when I merged to the light lane, was there cars that started to surpass me?
Yes.
Was it cars that I had to wait for it to pass me? So I had to. Did you notice that the car that I was driving was slowing down to merge into the right lane?
Yes.
At which point, when cars started to pass me, I got into the right lane. How quickly would you estimate that the officer pulled me over?
I would say like within seconds. As soon as she got into that far right lane, it was like within
Okay.
seconds of us like fully merged into that lane.
So
Thank you.
it was cars in front of me in the right lane.
I think she's
It was
verified the
cars
answer to that.
aside
Ms.
of
Lewis,
me.
stop. Ms. Lewis, stop.
Yeah.
That question has been asked 10, 15 times. We know there were cars all
Okay.
around.
Okay.
Anything else?
And so in your observance, after I slowed down, completely merged, it was within seconds that I was pulled over by the officers.
Yes.
Okay, that would be it.
Thank you. Mr. Zick, do you have any questions?
No questions, Your Honor.
Ms. McDonald, you're all set. And Mr. Zick, I did not give you the opportunity to ask questions of Ms. Lewis, and you have that right to. So Ms. Lewis, hold on just a minute. I'm going to ask Ms. Lewis to sit down. Ms. McDonald, you're excused. Ms. Lewis, the prosecutor has the right to ask you questions. And thank you,
Okay,
Ms.
that's
McDonald.
fine.
Yep.
Just one question. Good morning, Ms. Lewis. You've mentioned in your testimony a couple times about using the Google app to monitor your speed. Am I correct to assume that you were not looking at your speedometer, but relying on the app to monitor your speed?
No, I was looking at my speedometer and I was looking at the app because the app I would have the app was on my I have like a telephone mount. So when I'm having directions for something, it's mounting on my dashboard. And so it was kind of mounted in front of my, right near my dashboard too. So I had it like that. So I could visibly see my speed as well as the dashboard. Because if I'm mounted anywhere else in my car, the way my
That's okay, ma'am. Ma'am, you've answered the question. I appreciate it.
No further questions.
All right, no further questions. Thank you. Ms. Lewis, do you have any other evidence you want to introduce?
No, that's it.
I appreciate that. Do people have anything they want to, any other evidence for rebuttal?
Nothing further, Your Honor.
Do people have any statement they want to make?
Your Honor, you've heard the testimony. It's not necessary for me to summarize it all, but the long and the short of it is that Officer Borg was at the Gardner White, as he testified, approximately a half mile away from that exit there at 94 and Telegraph. He detected her speed, then used the LiDAR device, confirmed the speed at 56 miles an hour in the 45 posted zone, and we are asking a finding of responsibility on that charge.
Thank you. Ms. Lewis, do you want to make a final statement to the court?
Yes, I would like to make a final statement. The witnesses, both the officer as well as the witness, the officer did acknowledge that it was other cars surrounding me. He also acknowledged the fact that I was in the middle lane and then I was merging. He also acknowledged the fact that at some point between 94 and that area where he pulled me over, it is a traffic light, that acknowledged that I had to decelerate my speed because I stated that I was at a red light. He acknowledged that it was other cars surrounding me. He also acknowledged at some point I merged over to the right lane, which I also acknowledged, which the witness also acknowledged. But he also said that he couldn't per se acknowledge the location of other vehicles and where they were in premise to where I was. But we did have a witness that stated that I was in the middle lane, as the officer acknowledged, as I acknowledged, as the witness acknowledged. I merged over to the right, which we all agree upon. But then when it comes to the fact, he also acknowledges that it was cars surrounding me. He also acknowledged the initial reason that he started a radar was because I visibly looked like I stood out more than the other vehicles. But the witness stated, along with my statement, that it was cars surrounding me. So it's kind of hard to just say that it was just me that was driving that stood out when he was already at a higher ground.
Thank you, ma'am. I appreciate that. So I do appreciate everyone's testimony here, and it includes all the witnesses. Everybody's done a very good job of presenting their case. I do find that based on the testimony, that on September 14th in the city of Taylor on southbound Telegraph, Ms. Lewis was driving. In this case, we have a fully calibrated laser system that the officer testified that he saw Ms. Lewis's car in a group of cars, that it appeared to him, based on his experience and training, that she was going faster than the regular flow of traffic. He put this laser on it. This is with a red dot scope on it, on that specific vehicle, isolating it from the others, and found the speeding at 56 miles an hour. I think, while I understand that Ms. Lewis had a GPS system, she keeps talking about all the cars around her, trying to merge, all the things that were on her mind, trying to get over for breakfast. I don't think she had her eye on those instruments at all times. I don't think Ms. Lewis engaged in any intentional behavior to try and do 55 miles an hour, but she did. And then I do find her responsible for that. It's doing 56 in a 45 mile an hour zone, and it's a $130 fine. And Ms. Lewis, you'll have to pay that. If you need a payment plan, I can have the court contact you. Would you like a payment plan, ma'am?
Yes, please. Thank you.
Okay. I will tell the court to contact you. Again, thank you, everyone. We're all set.
Your Honor, I have one more matter with Officer Borg. If we could bring him back into a different case, bring him back into a prosecutor room.
Okay. We'll do that.
So will they contact me about a payment plan?
They will, and if you don't hear from them, please contact the court within about a week, okay?
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.